Thank you for staying with us. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is set to make his first official visit outside Nigeria today since he assumed office as president of Nigeria. The president will join world leaders in Paris, France, to review and sign a new global financial pact. The two-day summit, which will run from the 22nd of June to the 23rd, is expected to mobilize innovative financing for countries vulnerable to climate change and foster development in low-income countries. According to a statement signed by the Special Advisors, Special Duties, Communication and Strategy, Dele Alake, the president, while in Paris, will, quote, participate, review and sign a new global financial pact that places vulnerable countries on the priority list for support and investment following the devastating impact of climate change, energy crisis, and after effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, end quote. President Tinubu is expected to return on Saturday and will be accompanied by members of the Presidential Policy Advisory Council and senior government officials. Still in Abuja, exactly 21 days after May the 29th inauguration, President Bola Tinubu has retired all service chiefs in Nigeria and appointed new ones, whom he directed to resume with immediate effect. In a statement by Director Information to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Willie Bassi, the newly appointed officers are Nuhu Ribadu, National Security Advisor, Major General C.G. Musa, Chief of Defense Staff, Major General T.A. Lagbaja, Chief of Army Staff, Rear Admiral E.A. Ogala, Chief of Naval Staff, Air Vice Marshal H.B. Abubakar, Chief of Air Staff, DIG Kayode Egbetokun, Acting Inspector General of Police, Major General E.P.A. Udiandeye, Chief of Defense Intelligence. The President also approved the following appointments: Colonel Adebisi Onosanya, Brigade of Guards Commander to Lieutenant Colonel Moshood Abiodun Yusuf, 7 Guards Battalion, Asokoro, Abuja; Lieutenant Colonel Awalu Baba Inua, 177 Guards Battalion, Kefi, Nasarawa State; Lieutenant Colonel Muhammad J. Abdukarim, 102 Guards Battalion, Suleja, Niger State; Lieutenant Colonel Olumide A. Akingbeshote, 176 Guard Battalion, Gwagwalada, Abuja. Similarly, the President has approved the appointment of other military officers in the presidential villa as follows: Major Issa Farouk Audu, Commanding Officer, State House Artillery; Captain Kazim Olalekan Sumonu, Second in Command, State House Artillery; Major Kamaru Koyejo Hamzat, Commanding Officer, State House Military Intelligence; Major T.S. Adiola, Commanding Officer, State House Armament; Lieutenant A. Aminu, Second in Command, State House Armament. President Bola Tinubu also approved the appointments of 2 additional special advisors and 2 senior assistants, namely Hadiza Usman, Special Advisor, Policy Coordination, Hanatu Musawa, Special Advisor, Culture and Entertainment Economy; Abdullahi Gumel, Senior Special Assistant, National Assembly Matters, that's for the Senate; Olarewaju Ibrahim, Senior Special Assistant, National Assembly Matters for the House of Representatives. The President also approved the appointment of Adeniyi Adewale as the Acting Comptroller General of Customs, the appointment of Service Chiefs, the Inspector General of Police, and the Comptroller General of Customs are to act in their positions pending their confirmation in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu has approved the immediate dissolution of the governing boards of all federal government parastatals, agencies, institutions, and government-owned companies in the exercise of its constitutional powers and in the public interest. The dissolution does not affect boards, commissions, and councils listed in the 3rd Schedule, Part 1, Section 153 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended. In view of this development, the chief executive officers of the parastatals, agencies, institutions, and government-owned companies are directed to refer matters requiring the attention of their boards to the President through the permanent secretaries of their respective supervisory ministries and offices. Well, coming up on TVC Breakfast, President Bola Tinubu sacks all service chiefs, appoints new ones to start duties with immediate effect. Join us after the break for this conversation. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Since President Bola Tinubu assumed office on the 29th of May, he has been making moves to better Nigeria, such as fuel subsidy removal, unification of the Naira note, and now, 21 days after his assumption, he has sacked all service chiefs during his inaugural speech to, quote, defend the nation from terror and all forms of criminality that threaten the peace and stability of our country. He has appointed new service chiefs like Nuhu Ribadu as National Security Advisor, DIG Kayode Egbetokun as Acting Inspector General of Police, Major General C.G. Musa as Chief of Defense Staff, amongst others. Now, this was confirmed in a statement released by the Director of Information, Office of the Secretary General to the Federation, Willie Bassi. Joining us in the studio is the convener, Fix Nigeria Now, retired Colonel Hassan Stan Labu. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Vero.
And also joining us is security consultant Darlington Umoru. Darlington, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Now, let me begin with you, retired Colonel. What did you make of this retirement of service chiefs coming from the president? Were you expecting this move as at now? Because there are those who are saying that they didn't expect this at this time in government.
Thank you so much. For me, it was highly expected because I know that should administratively be the routine. When you come in as a commander-in-chief and president of the Federal Republic, you pick your team, all right? And if he feels he needs a fresh team on board with whom he could work with, fine. The prerogative he sees, and we should give that to him. Okay, so personally, I expected it. Of course, it's what I would do if I'm in his position.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The issue is, hope we'll have the right guys coming in. Things like
So you have reservations with some of the persons?
No, I don't have any reservations. They are sound officers. They are Parker officers, like we say in the military. I think they earn their respect, both amongst colleagues, professional colleagues, and friends too. Let's just see how much of the wealth of experience they're coming in with, how it could be used in
tackling
Nigeria.
The matters of insecurity. Let me get your perspective, Darlington, to this move by the president. I see you're smiling, and I'm wondering what it means if you're on the same side of the fence with retired colonel here.
Of course, if you have an idea about what security means, anybody who is saying that he or she was surprised at this time, I'm sure the person does not really know what it takes. It's a new administration. It's like going for a football match. You pick your team that will give you a result. Recall I was seated here some time ago when the outgone chiefs visited Mr. President.
Yes.
Talking about His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And the question was asked, the matching order thing given to them. And I said,
addressing oil theft.
And I said it wasn't a tea party. It wasn't a breakfast show. It was not about going to declare their loyalty to the new sheriff in town. It was actually business. Mr. President told them to redouble their efforts to fight insecurity that they've been fighting. And fast forward yesterday, that list was released. I said something here the last time also. I did say Mr. President has been in this country and has been in the know about the problems, particularly as regards insecurity in this country. And he has been preparing himself for this office. Apparently, he should have been making notes. And that he should hit the ground running. Okay, and so to me, I wasn't surprised. It was expected. And then he has chosen his team carefully. Carefully.
I like the emphasis. You would like to elaborate on that.
Yes, he has chosen his team. If you look at the acting IG, let's start from there. Was somebody he had worked with in the past as a CSO when he was governor. Ribado has a track record. The NSC, the office of the NSC is very important.
But there are talks about he has a non-military background.
Yes, I was going to come to that. It's the first time we're having that, not having a military man appointed to that office. But what about his rank? What about his rank? AIG. And then the chief of defense staff, a man with good track record.
C.J. Musa.
Yes. At the theater. The three other chiefs, cosmates. at the NDA, which meant that whichever way you want to look at it, we've often talked about synergy.
Yes.
I know you were going to catch me on that.
Yes, I was going to go there.
We've always talked about synergy, working together. And now here are three persons who have been together from their days of military schooling at the NDA. And so, like he said, he mentioned something. That was why I was smiling. The retired colonel mentioned something. It talked about, let's see how it goes. Very important.
Absolutely.
Apparently, one of the problems we have had in the past, particularly when it comes to heads of intelligence working with the military, there's been usually that quagmire. We've also had issues where when we look at security agencies not working together. Mr. President talked about the clearinghouse. If you recall,
Yes.
when the service chiefs visited him,
Yeah.
and all of these, apparently he has considered in the course of naming his men, his team. These are people who will constitute his team. These are people whom, apparently, he will be resting on their shoulders the problem of insecurity now. These are people who are inheriting the insecurity issues that their predecessors are leaving behind. These are the same people who Mr. President so much in his campaign talked about bringing down security. Now, the onus will be on them. All eyes will be focused on them. From now on, Nigerians will begin to measure the level of insecurity, how much of it will happen, and how much of it will go down. Like I said there the last time, I said, I do not jealous Irabo. Fine soldier. Fine soldier. Got good results as theater commander. Got result as the chief of defense staff. The Northeast is a bit quiet now, where we had so much insecurity ravaging initially.
But North Central is
No, they are different. They are in different levels.
Right.
Let's not mix them up. Let's not misunderstand them. What you have at the North Central, we have analyzed that here. The various conflicts at the North Central are primarily intercommunal, intracommunal. The header, hang on, yes they are.
Right.
We also have the header farmer, which is on the North Central belt aside from Niger. But in the up north, northeast specifically, what we had was the issue purely on terrorism. Boko Haram and then ISWAP, eventually. Okay? And then northwest is the problem of banditry. All of them reduced to insecurity, no doubt. But the way insecurity ravaged on the northeast, where at the time it actually started from, is it the same thing today? Today we are looking at issues of more of banditry, and then you want to talk about the unknown gunmen or the header farmer problem.
We'll come to these peculiarities, how it should be addressed moving forward. But let's quickly get retired Colonel's perspective to what disappointment means for Nigerians. There are those who have been looking at the regional representation with regards to the appointments, whether there's some form of federal character with regards to this appointments. There are those who are saying, well, the president just brought people he trusts and can work with, which is what matters the most. But from your perspective, regional representation or not, what does this mean for Nigerians?
Thank you. In the first place, I am one Nigerian who does not really care where you get your team from. If you ask me, I take exception to the constitutional geographic spread. Why? Because I believe in competence.
The president has said that.
Yes.
He's putting together a government of national competence.
You just give me the right people to work with. And I can tell you this. When you have the right team working, Nigerians don't bother where they come from. It is when now we begin to have problems, then you begin to hear, after all, it was his own people we went to pack. Why did they not turn to the east? Why did they not turn to the west? Because you created the problems. If you had an issue, picked the best hands around, I don't give a damn who our first 11 are.
Choice of words, please.
Yes, yes. I really don't care who our first 11 are or where they are from. Give me the best hands. But a situation where your first 11 are outside the stadium, not even sitting on the bench, and your third or fourth 11 are the ones playing in the field. Tell me how you want to win that match.
Right.
So that is a problem. And I can assure you, like I said, a good number of Nigerians don't give a damn. I mean, don't really care. Right. Okay, I have to be very
careful with
my words because you are too sensitive.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that is it.
Yeah.
That is really my position. So looking at what we have on ground or his selections so far, even though I am not a fan of his, but he's my president, and I give him all support I can give him and every sense of loyalty to him. The point is that I must confess, I think so far he's doing the right things. All right? Even the choices he's making, I'm impressed with some of the guys I see coming on board. If we have this sort of people coming on board, I think we can expect a better Nigeria emerging at the end of the day. All right? And that's why I feel satisfied. As to where are they from, this and that, merely looking at, for instance, the service chiefs and so on, you would agree with me that from mere facial looks, some nerves are being calmed. All right? Certain parts of this country that have really, really suffered in the last 8 years out of deliberate victimization, out of deliberate attempts to annihilate, okay, and even engage in what some of us call what's it called now? Where you want to completely flush out a group of people, a community or a tribe or whatever. I'm pointing at places like Southern Kaduna who have suffered terribly, terribly, both from the national and subnational level, where people from that area are even beginning to feel that government is complicit as to what is happening to them and things like that. There is a way you make your appointment either knowingly or unknowingly, and the people begin to say, so God finally is answering our prayers.
Right.
Okay? We are beginning to see such things. I also believe or want to hope and pray that he will take further steps in addressing the issue of people like Kanu. I think government should discuss with these guys. Release Kanu. You are making him a hero by further incarceration. You are making a hero out of him. You are making him too relevant. Bring him out and discuss with him. Nigeria is a family. Talk with family members who are aggrieved and sort out their problems. We should stop all this shout about IPOB, this, that. They are Nigerians. If they say they want to pull out of Nigeria, they have a right to say, we no longer want to be part of the union. It is left for us to say, come and let's talk. Why don't you want to be part of the union? In what way have we offended you? Can we see how we can assuage things? And so on. There are lots of things Mr. President has got to do because he really took over a Nigeria that was actually, or is actually at the precipice. Of
course. But then again, to the matter on the ground.
Yes.
Because the issue of Nnamdi Kanu and co. is
a different
ball game because so that we can make judicious use of the time that we have. Nigerians are looking forward to some deliverables from these persons that have been appointed. What should they expect from them? Or rather, how should these persons hit the ground running at addressing the peculiarities of our insecurity issues? We know, like we were mentioning earlier, the Northeast has its peculiarities. The North Central has its peculiarities. The Southeast does its own, such as the South-South.
The Northwest.
And the Northwest also has its peculiarities. Yes. So it's a gamut of issues for these persons. How should they hit the ground running?
First off, these persons have been a part of the system. They were not imported. And up until this point, they've held various positions. They've been a part of tackling of insecurity. But there's a fundamental problem that they must look at.
Which is?
The proliferation of small arms and light weapons. Illicit circulation of small arms and light weapons in circulation. That is the first point they must fight. That is the first consideration. The terrorists cannot thrive without firearms. The kidnapper cannot thrive without that. The cultists would not be able to also achieve that. And so one of the basic things they need to be looking at now, first, is to come together, form a synergy with the security agencies also, and then begin to look at how the circulation of these illicit arms that we have so much now. I don't want to keep sounding like a broken record, where I talked about the amount of small arms and light weapons in the hands of the non-state actors far more outweighing those in the hands of the state actors. Our porous borders, particularly up north, have not helped matters. What about our local blacksmiths?
Absolutely.
Who also fuel who also make these firearms very cheap to purchase. Now, they've got so sophisticated in this country, these local blacksmiths. They've got so sophisticated. Now, I think the government should be looking at what to do with these local blacksmiths when they are arrested. Is it just enough to arrest them? Or begin to look at how to convert some of their skills into national use? We have DICON. Okay? If these persons are this skilled, and then you arrest them today, tomorrow they are released, you take them to court, tomorrow they are released. You don't give them alternative livelihood.
They'll go back.
So when they go back to the manufacture of these firearms, I've told you a story here and in some other television stations, where in one of our trainings, factory imported manufactured firearms were placed side by side with those manufactured by
locally
our blacksmiths. It took experts a lot of time to be able to differentiate which one came from Europe or which one came from America or which one was made in Nigeria. But there was one thing they often don't get right. That's the code that helps you to do tracing. If you must trace who manufactured it, if you must trace who bought it, if you must trace when it was stolen from the state actor, you need that. So I think all of that is what you can only look for. Otherwise, the level of sophistication has gone so high. Now, insecurity, they are inheriting. They need to begin to work, hit the ground running, and begin to think of modern, beyond coercion. They should also be looking at diplomacy.
Right. We'll come to that because we need to quickly go on a break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation. Do stay with us.